Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the...
I don't think you're on.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's in my headphones. Keep talking.
I don't think they're hearing it.
Okay.
No, it's not. Hello?
Nope.
Testing. No, nothing. Check. Hello.
It was working
Hello.
before.
Hello. Goodbye. No. Can you hear us out there? Hello?
Can anybody hear us?
Hear us? No.
No, it's not because I'm tapping this. I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, don't tap it.
He doesn't have the headphones on. He doesn't like you tapping the headphones on.
He says you blow the mics too. I don't know. We'll blow into it too. He says you blow the mics.
Take it easy.
This is what he told me. I don't need that.
He's upset. Why is he upset? I'll tell you. No more.
Hello, check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're getting there.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah, you got a
10.
homicide here at this table. Oh, there it goes.
Good. Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 24th Town of Monroe Board meeting. If you could please silence your phones. Note that there are exits, 2 exits behind you, and 1 out to our left, your right. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Councilman Cologne expresses his regrets for not being here this evening. He has a bad case of bronchitis. He told me I could say that, and so we didn't violate any HIPAA laws, but he says he hopes to be back next week for our meeting. In addition, Brian Nugent had texted me he will be here approximately 7:45, so I'm going to jump around the agenda a little bit. As you know, the joint public hearing between Woodbury and us was canceled this evening. The applicant withdrew his petition for the annexation of the Harriman Business Park into the village of Woodbury, and he also withdrew his petition, if that never came to fruition, to annex that land into the village of Harriman. So both of those have been withdrawn. Can we get motions to approve both sets of minutes? We'll do it individually. Motion to accept the minutes of August 13th, 2018.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Okay. Any other discussion, corrections, changes? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Same goes for the September 10th, 2018 minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion, changes, revisions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. I'm going to jump down before we get into the community section with the Monroe Theater discussion. I'm going to jump down. We have to set the public, we have to make a motion to set the public budget meeting dates. Those meeting dates are October 3rd and October 22nd. They will both begin at 6 p.m. So
I'll make a motion that we set the public budget meeting dates for October 3rd and October 22nd at 6 p.m.
I will second that.
okay, the only thing I'll add to that is that they're held here, Senior Center, 101 Mine Road, Monroe, New York. Any other discussion? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 5.2 is the amendment to the agreement with Montgomery regarding the solid waste processing and disposal. That's between the town of Monroe and TBE of Montgomery. You have it before you. It comes from Jim Taylor. I spoke to Mr. Taylor this afternoon, and it's essentially a same agreement. Price is $66 a ton, and that's about 23% lower than the prevailing rates in the region. This is, he intends to honor this price in the future. The agreement also allows us to lock in the cost of weight disposal for 20 years at a rate that is below today's rate, for benefit that flows straight to the town of Monroe and obviously our taxpayers. So with the review of our attorney, I would like a motion for allowing the supervisor to sign this agreement.
Make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign this agreement pending review from the town attorney.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. So we have the 5-year digital radio communication system for Dial-A-Bus. We have to approve the all-inclusive 5-year lease program for Nycomco's digital radios and Connect Plus operation system. You know what? I'm sorry. Let's hold that off. Dom Pasculo is going to be here this evening, so let's hold that off till Dom gets here, and we could just move forward to the 5.4, which is the hardware warranty on the main town hall virtual server. This is a warranty that covers the town hall server, which expires on October 5th, 2018. It covers the main critical server that runs the bulk of the town of Monroe services. There are 3 options. The first is for 1 year at $478.40, 2 years at $838.35, and then there's a 3-year warranty for $1,193.87. I would like to see us go multiple years. I'm okay, whatever the board's pleasure is regarding 2 or 3.
Well, 3 years is the best deal, right?
Yes, per year it works out, yeah, it works out to the best deal.
That works for me.
I have no objection to that.
Would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we do the hardware warranty on the main town hall virtual server for 3 years, and I believe it was $1,193.87.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll second that. Just for quick discussion, so the 1-year rate is obviously $478.40. The 2-year rate is $419.18 per year, and the 3-year rate comes to a little under $398 per year. So, I mean, I agree. I have no problem with the 3 years. Any other discussion?
Supervisor, is that with FLC Equipment and Supplies?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. So just if we can include that in the motion, that it's with FLC Equipment and Supplies. And this came from our IT provider. So if there's no other discussion, I'll call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. All right. So we have some discussion and announcement tonight on the Monroe Theater. I will say that this board has worked very diligently for quite some time, over a year, and the last 8+ months very hard. We've worked closely with our economic developer, Ed Sheeran, who has really painstakingly held a lot of meetings and done a lot of negotiating, always staying in contact with us. And I do want to give special kudos to Councilman McGinn, who drove the bus on this and really made this come to fruition after quite some time. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Sheeran once again.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and Mr. Supervisor and Town Board. I'm very pleased to be here with you tonight and to talk a little bit about the Monroe Theatre, a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and a lot about the future. Now, I know you're all very familiar with the theatre, but I'd like to start by briefly visiting the history of the theatre and the town and the town's involvement. As you know, the theatre was opened in 2008, 10 years ago. It went into construction, I think it was 2003, and it sits on the site of a historical theatre which was there for 75 years. Excuse me. The owner of the theatre operated profitably for about 3 years, I guess. Then he had some difficulties with another business, and he lost the theatre. The town of Monroe acquired it in 2012 with the intention of converting it into a town hall. However, as time went on, they found that the cost of doing that it didn't work. So they had abandoned that idea, and after a series of upgrades, the town converted it into the theatre with three small theatres within the 6-theatre complex. The 3 small theatres had about 549 seats, and the other 3 theatres were used for movie screenings, private events, and theatre production. The theatre has been a drain on the town for the past 3 years. It's costing well over $400,000 a year from what I gather. And after a lot of discussion, the town board felt that something had to be done to stop the bleeding. Now, the options that they had was to do nothing, allow it to continue spending the taxpayers' money, or bring in a professional group to manage the theatre and on behalf of the town. That probably would not work either, because I think that everybody feels that the cost will continue to increase. You could close the doors of the theatre, lock it up, and the bleeding would stop, but you'd have an empty theatre in the middle of the village, and it would also be an eyesore. Or they could invest a fair amount of money into the theatre, upgrade make all the 6 theatres working. That would cost a lot of money, and there'd be no guarantee that the bleeding would stop. Or they could sell this, seek other theatre operators or sell the theatre. So after a lot of discussion and deliberation, the town board agreed that they should seek other cinema owners and lease or purchase the theatre. Now, the theatre business has had a number of difficulties over the past 10 years. Number of theatres, excuse me, I have horrible throat issues tonight, so you'll have to excuse me. But theatres.
So aside from your brogue, we can't understand you, and you got that going on. Okay, well, we're good.
Could be worse, could be time. The theatres have had a lot of difficulties throughout the country over the past 10 years. And now in the past year, the Sawmill Multiplex in Hawthorne closed in 2018. The Regal Hudson Valley Mall would close in 2019. And the Greenberg Multiplex Cinemas in Amsterdam would close in 2019. We did an outreach to 17 owners and operators across the spectrum. 8 did not respond. 5 responded with no interest. 1 responded with potential interest, but only if annual sales were at least $1.5 million. 1 said it would be discussed internally, but was decided that the location was not within the marketing area. 1 group from New York was very interested but preoccupied with the recent acquisition in Larchmont. There was 1 entity that came in, Flagship Cinemas, was very interested and very proactive. Now the question is, who is Flagship Theatres? Well, they're headquartered in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It is a privately held company and it was formed in 1995. They operate 17 theatres in Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Flagship theatres feature stadium seating, digital projection, digital restaurant, and a very comfortable atmosphere. They pride themselves on being known as the neighbourhood theatre, which was very important to this board, I believe. They offer quality entertainment for families and businesses within the communities they serve. They offer free movies on birthdays, but I would suggest that you don't go there every week because they do ask for identification. They are committed to giving back to the communities they serve. The focus on charitable contributions and efforts to help kids and families and seniors. Now, the town of Monroe and Flagship, let's discuss what happened here. Flagship partners visited Monroe and met with the town supervisor, Cardone, town board member McGinn, the village mayor Dwyer, and myself. They toured the community and did a walk through the theatre building. Flagship folks invited Supervisor Cardone and his team to visit Flagship Cinema in Pennsylvania, which we did, and we're very impressed. A beautiful facility, very well laid out. And subsequently, Flagship presented the town with a proposal draft of a lease structure. This was followed with meetings that I had with Flagship in headquarters in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and an agreement was in principle reached after a number of phone calls and conference calls back and forth between the town attorney and ourselves. An agreement in principle was reached on Flagship and town attorneys, and the town attorney invited working on the overall agreement. So Brian Nugent was very much involved. The attorneys proposed a commercial license agreement between Flagship and the town. The key points to the commercial license agreement are as follows. The license term is 10 years with 2 consecutive 5-year terms. The license fee for the years 1 to 5, there will be no fixed license fee. Flagship will pay the town, however, 10% of the gross sales for each license year that exceeds the gross sales breakpoint for each year. The breakpoint for years 1 to 5 is $1 million. So if they do $1.5 million, then the town will get $50,000, 10% of the $500,000. In years 6 to 10, Flagship will pay the town $75,000 per license year, payable monthly. In addition, each year Flagship will pay another 10% of the gross sales for the break that exceeds the break point, which in years 6 to 10 is $1.5 million. Years 11 to 15, Flagship will pay the town $100,000 per license year, payable monthly. In addition, each year Flagship will pay the town 10% of the amount of gross sales for each license year that exceeds the break point, and the break point from 11 to 15 is $1.8 million. Years 16 to 20, Flagship will pay the town $150,000 per license year, and in addition, 10% of anything that exceeds the break point, which this time is $2.1 million. Now, the town has the right to terminate the license with Flagship with the 180 days written notice. In such event, the town shall pay Flagship the sum of $100,000 per year for each of the license agreement remaining available to Flagship. Think of it this way. Flagship is going to put in $800,000 into the theatre. So if you were to cancel the license, and they have $800,000 in there, they've got to get reimbursed for that. Plus, if they build up the business, well, there's a fee for that as well. Flagship were very concerned about that piece of the agreement. In the event of a termination of a license, town arts agents shall be prohibited for a period of 4 years from utilizing or permitting utilization of the building as a movie theatre. Flagship has the option to purchase the premises from the town after the end of the 3rd license year at fair market value. And this is spelled out in the agreement. Now, what will Flagship do for the town of Monroe? Well, our commercial license with Flagship, by the way, Flagship is the main entity. The legal entity that will be handling this one is the Monroe Premium Theatre, Premium Cinema, I should say. A commercial license with Flagship will save the Monroe taxpayers at least $400,000 annually. The Flagship will generate fees to the town that will increase substantially after years 5 and through the remainder of the license. Flagship will invest an estimated $800,000 improvements into the theatre. Flagship will upgrade all 6 theatres with stadium seating, state-of-the-art projections, digital surround, and a state-of-the-art facility. Flagship will bring quality films to Monroe. They will bring the market the theatre of Monroe in Orange County and beyond. And they will operate the theatre as a successful team with a successful team of professionals. Flagship will rebuild the theatre and create a sense of pride for the residents of Monroe. They will be good community partners to Monroe and provide service to senior communities such as this community here and the children of Monroe. Flagship will attract more people to the downtown area and will generate new business within the village. Flagship will free up the town's limited resources and allow them to work on other pressing needs within the town. And the town of Monroe will be the first flagship in the state of New York, as far as I know. In summary, a commercial license with Flagship will save the town $400,000 annually and stop the bleeding, and generate annual revenue for the town that will continue to grow over the years. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. McGinn, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, just, you can sit down, sir, we'll take it.
Time is up.
3 minutes are up, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, just kind of summarizing what Mr. Sheeran said here. For the better part of 2 years, we sought out a compatible partner to either buy, lease, or enter into some type of agreement with the town on the theater. As Mr. Sheeran alluded to, the market conditions were not great for the theater industry in general. To make matters worse, we had 3 theaters operating out of 6, and gross ticket sales of hovering at about 60,000 tickets a year for the last 2 years. That's not going to cut it for the big companies, and they passed on us. Plus, it didn't fit their operating model, which is basically being in malls or in other type of venues that would draw in customers. Had street parking. That was another minus for the larger theater operators. So we weren't having a whole lot of success. We looked at a nonprofit, national nonprofit organization that we were hoping to try to take it over, and they passed on it for a lot of the reasons that I just mentioned. That theaters are not doing particularly well in this day and age. So we were very, very fortunate to make contact with Flagship. Flagship, as Mr. Sheeran said, has been around since the mid-'90s. They have 18 theaters, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maine, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida. They've never had a movie. They've never had a theater failure. They've never gone Chapter 11. They have a very, very tight and organized operating model that is community oriented, and that's really what we were looking for. We did not want to turn it over to someone that we felt wasn't going to be a good fit for this community, and we really, really feel that they were, in my words, a godsend that we found them, that we met up together. A big part of it, again, is their operating model, and what they're going to do is sink $800,000 of their own money to upgrade the theater. If there's going to be the first thing they're going to do is get the 3 theaters that are non-operational. They're going to get them online. They've already ordered the projectors. They are ready to go. The other thing they're going to do is they're going to take one theater out at a time. They're going to install these leather reclining loungers, which is a big draw. There's going to be a considerable amount of work, new sound systems, new concession areas. They do an automated ticket process. Not that there's not someone there to handle that, but you can go up to basically a kiosk, buy your own ticket there. You can buy it beforehand, reserve your seat. Self-serve sodas. They don't want people waiting online for sodas. Once you get one, you can go up again, get free refills. They have all sorts of kind of frequent membership incentives for people that like to go to the movies a lot. Discounts and birthday things and all sorts of really, unique, cool marketing things that are just something that you don't see here in Orange County. And I think that is the key to this. Is this isn't going to just be something that's going to be good for this community, which I believe it will. I think it's going to blow any of the theaters away in the local area, certainly from Chester Cinema 6 and some of the others. But it's going to have a lot of unique characteristics that these other theaters don't have, and are going to draw people in. And that kind of dovetails into the whole economic development potential. Closing the theater would have been bad for the village downtown. I mean, we can all agree to that. I think this creates what we hoped the original theater would have done, which is draw people in, and it kind of sets the table for the village to get their economic development kind of projects in order so that they can capitalize on this. Again, great track record, very, very fortunate to hook up with him. Mr. Sheeran was, when you talk about experience and having good professionals on your side, that made made a big difference for us. And I can't thank him enough, and really, brought his experience to the table to help get this deal done. And I'll be honest with you, the flagship was very, very reluctant to get involved with us. We're a municipality. They've never dealt with a municipality before. They were concerned about future town boards coming in, and they knew the history. They knew the history of the theater. They did their homework when they came in the door. They knew everything about it, and they were concerned that another town board would come in here and put in friends or other people, or try to make it a non-profitable business, and that's something they were concerned about. And we had to build certain things into our license agreement to reassure them that their investment would be safe. So again, I think this is going to be a tremendous home run for this community. It really hit all the things on our wish list on what we hope to see with the theater, and it's going to be a tremendous venue. I mean, if you get a chance, you're over at Madame Morris. That's where their other theater is. It's a beautiful theater. I mean, just state of the art. Everything is really just top shelf. Their attention to detail is just tremendous. So we're very much looking forward to it. They have an enhanced food option. They might look into serving, having a small bar area. There's a lot of very, very good things with this theater that other theaters in the county do not have. So don't want to keep on going on about it, but I think this is what we've been waiting for, and I'm very, very happy we've got to this point tonight.
All right, it's just 4 points I wanted to add. Number one, their price structure for movies is similar to ours. I think their high end was $10 in Madame Morris, Mike, if I'm not mistaken. As far as the seating goes in the theater, based on the recliners and the space that they take up, there's probably going to be a 30 to 35% reduction per theater in seats. And I don't know if you had mentioned this, Ed, we as a town will have use of one of the theaters for up to 6 times per year, and that will be done obviously not at peak times for them, and we will discuss that. And I will say that both Brian Nugent and Ed Sheeran, whenever we hit a snag, there was a way to get around it, and they were the ones that surmised the avenue to take when it came to getting around it. One thing that hasn't been said is, negotiating this, we were basically negotiating being down 10-0 in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs. So it was something that I really have to commend these 2 gentlemen and Councilman McGinn for doing and for getting us to this point. I didn't know, Mr. Nugent, if there's anything you wanted to add.
Thank you, Supervisor. I would just say that the reality is the town inherited a theater. You own it. So the next question is, what do you do with it? And the town board has a fiduciary responsibility to protect the taxpayer dollar the best they can. So, if you can picture it, basically you have approximately $400,000 a year just flowing out in a loss. And so the mission was, of course, to try to find someone to take this theater, and at the very least, the moment if the town board approves this and signs that agreement, you stop losing $400,000 a year immediately. And to Mr. Sheeran's credit, he reached out to 17 entities, and 16 of them essentially and eventually closed the door on him. Flagship was also going to close that door, and through a lot of negotiation and discussion, nobody wanted to buy it, nobody wanted to lease it, because nobody wanted the responsibility of taking on the building and the theater operation and worrying about a failure. So the compromise that was reached is what's before the board tonight, which was what's known as a license agreement. And in simple terms, a sale of the building means we get rid of it entirely, somebody else owns it. A lease, we still own it, we're basically the landlord, and they have a fixed term that's guaranteed. And then we have a license agreement. And the license agreement is basically the town saying to Flagship or Monroe Premium Cinemas, which is the LLC, that they will occupy the building at any time the town could conceivably throw them out, because it is a license agreement, it's revocable. But, to assure them, we put in protections that that was not the intent of the town, that there would be certain penalties put into place so that that wouldn't happen. So, the good news is if this goes forward, immediately, the town saves that $400,000 that it's losing. In addition, there are provisions as the license agreement progresses that the town will begin to increase its revenue from that operation as time goes on. And ultimately, if Flagship decides to buy the theater and the building, then of course the town will get the revenue from the sale of that building and will be out of it altogether. But at the end of the day, the board, had to do something, I think, with this theater, and that was my advice. And the fact of the matter is, this was a lot of, kind of the needle was over here, and then ultimately it kind of bounced to this license agreement, which I can tell you flat out, Flagship said no to the license agreement at least twice, that they weren't interested, and it was a lot of back and forth, showing them some examples of other places where economic development was put into place and license agreements were used, and they kind of came back around. So, at the end of the day, it's an agreement that at least stops the bleeding for the town and will move the theater. And, you were operating a standard movie theater at 50% operational capacity. This plan will be a premium movie theater that will ultimately use all 6 theaters and hopefully draw in. The other option was, of course, just close the theater, but that cuts off the people and the attraction, and now you just have a vacant building that does nothing for the town or the village. So, the bottom line is, I think that it's a good thing for the town. It was a lot of work to get there, and I commend the board and Mr. Sheeran for their efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
Thank you.
Any to the board members?
Let me ask you a question, because a lot of times I did hear complaints about like a premium movie coming out on like a Friday night, May 21st, and Monroe wouldn't have it. We'd have to wait a week or 2
We weren't guaranteed to get it because of the way our theater numbers were coming in. I would say we'd probably get it maybe 80% of the time.
Okay.
And that's why we would get the later week, like the recent ABBA movie. What's the movie?
There've been movies
Mamma
over
Mia?
time.
Mamma Mia. Yeah, Mamma Mia. We didn't
But
get
this
till
won't be the
after.
case with Flagship.
Yeah, I mean, because they have 18 other theaters,
Right.
they have their movie buyers. They have a extensive network. They know how to blend their theaters that are showing a mix of action, comedy, children's movies, and of course everything's first run.
So if a movie is coming out Friday night, Monroe's going to have it.
I would
That's
say that it would be
Once
very,
it gets-
very unlikely that they would not have a first run movie.
That's fantastic.
you know.
Because I know a lot of times during the summer, kids are going to Chester or Middletown because we don't have that premium movie.
Yeah.
Now having it, I think, is a nice asset here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that was due also large part to how we had our, or how the previous board structured the their agreement with the procurer of the movies that they dealt with.
I think it's a home run. Great job by everyone involved. I think the potential for the economic development in the downtown is sky's the limit here. So, village has got to step up now and do some good stuff.
Yeah, in addition, this is obviously no reflection on any of those that were managing, running the theater, or working at the theater. They had to deal with what, we gave them. So, Flagship has also assured us that every single one of those employees will be interviewed for potential jobs because they're going to need staff. So, we made sure that, our staff would have the opportunity to secure a job with them. So, there's anything else?
Barry?
No, I think it's a great idea. Like Councilman Scancarello said, it will improve the viability for the businesses down in the village. So I think it's a great idea, and I know it's been a long, arduous process, but we persevered, and today's the day we can vote on it and make it come true.
Okay.
I mean, Mr. Supervisor, I think, it'd be probably fitting to open this up for public comment, this subject.
Yeah, sure.
So if there's anyone that'd like to comment on this, please feel free to come on up, Mr. Burke.
I'm hopeful. I went online and I looked what Flagship does. They put in good seating, they upscale food. It looks like they could really make a tremendous success there. But what I'm devastated at is that Mr. McGinn, Mr. Nugent, Mr. Sheeran are saying that the theater's losing $400,000 a year. I rebutted that. I came up here and told you you were a few $1,000s ahead. And you could either believe me or look into the budget and you find out exactly what the finances are. And for the 2/3 of the year so far now, the revenue for the theaters was $413,000. And expenses $367,000. So for the 2/3 of the year, the town cleared $45,592.72. They did not lose $400,000. They made $45,000. Now, what devastates me is we went into negotiations saying, geez, so we take this help us, we losing $400,000. You're not losing $45,000. You might have got better terms if the people you were talking with knew that you were making money and you could have held out longer. But and also, please don't vote on this tonight. I didn't hear 2/3 of what Mr. Sheeran said. It's very hard to hear over there. What he said should be written down, put on the website. Same thing, whatever the written agreement is, the public should see it first and give you some return on it and give their opinions on it. And maybe they'll support it, because it's actually a good idea. Just if you got the finances wrong, I don't know what else is wrong. And so don't rush it through tonight. Let us take a look at it and set it up for the next meeting. All right, thank you.
Anybody else like to comment? Mr. Egan?
I just want to thank all of you. Well, you haven't voted yet, but you sounded very positive, so I assume you'll vote positive, specifically Mike, Brian, Mr. Sheeran, for what you've done. You really, as we all know, have hit a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. The numbers, it's distressing, and I'll make this short. It's distressing after all this time with the numbers having been put out year after year in writing so people could see them, taken from the P&L of the town, reported over and over again. It's distressing to have Mr. Burke come up here and say what he just said. The only reason the theater could possibly be losing $400,000 now is that the bond is paid out. And so that $173,000 a year is over, because the number used to be north of $500,000. So we have lost over $2 million so far. And so this is wonderful. Thank you. Really great. Allows that money to either stay in the hands of the taxpayers going forward or be spent for other things that this town needs. And it's really great. And I also like the business model, as a little bit that was said here tonight. It's smart. It's not just offering the same thing that Chester offers or Middletown offers or wherever. There's something different in these stadium seating. There was an allusion to maybe alcohol. You know, a reason to go to this theater as opposed to just going 4.5 miles down the road to Chester. So thank you. I know that success is not guaranteed, but these guys sound smart, or these people sound smart. They do this in other places. Experience is a lot of the reasons to succeed or fail in business. So I'm really optimistic. I have a couple of just quick questions, so when you get a chance, maybe you'll respond, because I couldn't hear a couple of things. What is the termination provision? I know Brian alluded to it, Mr. Sheeran did, but so each side seems to have some termination ability, and what's the recourse when that happens? The length of the deal, I think it was 10 years, but just explain that again. And I think that was it. Thank you.
Brian, you want to answer those, Brian?
Sure, yeah. Essentially, and I referred to them as penalties because, the flagship's concern with the license agreement was that if you have a standard license agreement with a municipality with no provisions, then the town can revoke that license agreement and just say, you're done, get out. The concern here, obviously, is that Flagship is investing significant amounts of money in the seating and the projectors and the theater and renovating them, and then, of course, potentially, or eventually, I should say, renovating the other 3 theaters. So in the agreement itself, there's basically one provision concerns a penalty clause that sort of steps down as the years go on. So Flagship's coming in at an agreement that says they're going to have 10 years of a license agreement and then the option to renew for 2 additional 5-year periods. So one of the provisions is a penalty clause that if they were to come in and 6 months from now the town says get out after they've invested the money and opened the theater, that number starts, I believe, around $2 million in the first year, and then eventually about $100,000 a year phases out, factoring in that the agreement would be for 20 years total. So that we don't anticipate happening, that the town is going to have this theater open and then suddenly terminate it, but from their side, they want some assurance, with respect to anyone throwing them out. And the second would be that the town would have to compensate Flagship for the investments made into the building, meaning if they invested $800,000 in the seats and all the other improvements that they're going to make, we would be responsible for reimbursing them for those costs, minus capital improvements that the town makes. For example, if we repair the roof or something like that, that's our work. There's certain things that the town is still responsible for. We're responsible to provide them with a building with a working HVAC system, and we're responsible for the elevators. It is still a town building, so we will still have some responsibilities with respect to the building, but the theater operation will be entirely theirs. So those are essentially the provisions that provide protection to them, to assure them that the town, and clearly to certainly discourage some future board from just saying, get out, we're done with you. So that was what they were looking for some reassurance. They wanted, honestly, a lot more than that, and after negotiation, this is where we ended up. So those are the penalty provisions, and that is the term situation. It's a 10-year license and then option for 5-year renewal on 2 occasions. They also have an option to purchase from the 3rd year through the 8th year. In other words, that's kind of their window if they would like to purchase the theater from the town. After that, conceivably, the town could sell it to somebody else, but still with those penalty clauses in place, which of course we would pass on to some other buyer if they actually wanted to buy the theater.
Okay. Mr. Lepola, come on up.
Although it sounds, good evening, it sounds positive, I really haven't been following the numbers as everybody else has. It does sound like it's a positive development for the town. But since it was somewhat of a controversial issue, and it's kind of moving pretty quickly, I probably agree with Mr. Burke. You know, at this point, maybe bullet points on the website, postpone the vote a little bit. Take your time, look at it, put certain bullet points up in the gentleman's comments. It doesn't have to be word for word, just a specific boom, boom, boom. This is what's going to take place with the licensing agreement. Explain it to the public. Vote on it next time. I think that's probably the prudent thing to do. Again, it sounds like a positive development. I'm not opposed to it. It just sounds like it might be a wise thing to do one board meeting at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Ward Brower, private citizen. Impressed with the amount of work that Mike put into this in a long time. I do agree with Dan Burke and Tomm. I think there's a lot of details that, frankly, I couldn't hear. And I think the details should be put on the town's website. Also, it'd be nice to contact probably the photo news, get the details put in there. And I'd also like to hear the input from the ex-comptroller. I'd like to have his opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
John
Mr.
Allegro.
Allegro, come on up.
John Allegro, Monroe. You know, when I go to the movies, the very few times I go per year, I spend the extra money. I spend about $18 per ticket to go to the theater in Middletown. I think it's the AMC, and to sit in the lounges. And I don't think they have beer, so we'll probably end up going to the movies a few more times once this happens, and it'll be a lot closer and more time economical to me. I think this takes the town out of a very sticky situation. You know, I was concerned from the beginning, you know, in 2012, that the town shouldn't be involved in something that is really based for private enterprise, and that's the movie theater business. It's not a public service. It's not a park. It's not a senior center. It's business that's really based upon a lot of marketing and risk reward factors that municipality really shouldn't be involved with. So I think this is great. The town's out of the movie business. I think all the concerns of people who may have opposed my point of view on that are very nicely addressed. We have people working there. Their opportunity to keep their jobs remains. People are concerned about the preservation of the theater as a theater, that what would happen if the town board closes the operation of the theater down. So it's going to stay a movie theater for a very long term. All 6 theaters will be open, and the ticket prices sound phenomenal. I would gladly pay more, but I'll take a $10 ticket in a recliner. It sounds like you did a lot of work, and it took you quite a bit of persuasion and gaining of commitment and buy-in on part of the other party to the agreement. For that reason, I disagree with the other citizens who think that you should vote later on this. I think you need to show the other party to this agreement that you are committed as well. And I trust this board. I trust Mr. Nugent that you put together a very good deal, and I look forward to this happening. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Mr. Supervisor, I just want to add, I mentioned the option to purchase. That, because that's in the agreement, doesn't mean it can just happen. If there were actually an option and they exercised that, and the town was going to sell the building, that would come back before the town board and be subject to permissive referendum under the law, so it's not as if because the town enters this agreement that they can just buy it and there's no further process, so I just want to clarify that.
Okay, one point I just want to touch on. So, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Lorraine, I'm sorry.
And
No,
I
no.
believe Mrs. Barrington wants to speak after
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
I didn't hear it, maybe it was mentioned, but I didn't hear it. What's the effective date of this? When's the,
We're not positive yet.
okay,
But
then
it-
it wasn't mentioned, cool.
Yep,
Thank you.
but it could, just so you know, it could be 2 weeks, could be a month.
Could be sooner.
Could be tonight.
I just want to say thank you because I know probably I think it's been 6 years that this has been a big issue, and we do love to go to the movies. And, you know, as much as I like to go to Middletown for the big seats, I don't always feel safe going there, and I have a child who's starting to drive, and it's exciting that she'll be able to go right to Monroe and support the business there. I'm also excited as a person of the village to bring more business downtown. And, you know, I know how much work you've put into this. And my gut feeling is vote on it before somebody does back out, because I think this is such a great deal. And I really feel so hopeful. And I didn't feel hopeful for a long time. And I really feel hopeful. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so just want to touch on a couple of things quick. Over the course since the initial opening of the theater, we've expended over 1.8 million more than we've taken in. So when these are numbers that we have from our budget, from our in our computer, it's in our admin system. Okay, we don't need to speak to anybody from the past. Okay, it's there. It's 1.8 million. There's no denying it. I'm not going to sit up here and lie about a number just because someone thinks it's not true. With respect to the ticket money that comes in, 62 to 65% of that ticket money goes right to the film distributor. Another 15 to 18% goes to pay for the wages of the employees there. There's 8.25% of that we have to pay sales tax on. We don't collect sales tax because that's how it was set up. Okay, that alone totals 85% of the ticket sales. So that means if we did $100,000 in ticket sales, $15,000 is out there that we can use. We got to pay insurance. We have to have the place cleaned. There's maintenance and upkeep. There's utilities. And there's unforeseen expenses, such as we had some issues with the AC over the past 2 months. We had a roof issue that we had to repair. So there's so much going on there. And I will tell you this, the efficiency with which these gentlemen run the theater was evident to me when we spoke to them, and they said they saved almost $900,000 over the 18 theaters that they have on popcorn kernels. Popcorn kernels. That was a little over, I think, $45,000 per theater. So we don't need to be in a business that we cannot be 100% committed to. We need to be 100% committed to making sure that our budget is streamlined for Palm Tree, and that we're committed to the residents, that we're going to make sure that their best interest and the dollars that they put into this town are done in a way that is as fiduciarily responsible as it can be. I mean, I've sat on other boards. I know Sal has sat on other boards. I know Mike has had his own business and sat on other boards, and Mary has sat on other boards. And the number one responsibility of any of the boards I have been on, and I'm sure they have been on, is fiduciary responsibility. And that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that our residents get the best bang for their buck, and when they're not getting the best bang for their buck, then out goes what they're not getting their best bang for their buck for. It's very simple, 1.8 million. And I will say that 1.8 million does not include approximately $140,000 in benefits to employees that we pay for. So now you're getting closer to 2 million. And there's no way I'm gonna allow that, and I don't think any one of these other board members is gonna allow that to happen. And I apologize for getting emotional here, but there's no way we can continue to drain the taxpayers of this cost. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to, one last thing. To those of you that are saying, hey, delay the vote and let's look at this, we as a board have looked at this and negotiated this for several months. For 2 years, we looked to try to get this theater out of into private hands. We're coming up on budget season. We'd like to know how we're going to budget. And the way we're going to be able to know how we're going to budget is either the theater's in the budget or it's out of the budget. The flagship, they have a timeline. They want to get things rolling. The holiday season is coming. They want to get these theaters online. That's a big money-making season for them from Thanksgiving on. The previous board, they delayed everything. And all we wound up with was inaction and nothing got done. All right, we've worked hard to get this to where we are today, and quite honestly, I think putting it out there for people to look at, it's still going to be out there for people to look at. It's the contract is there, everyone can look at it, but it's really not going to matter. We've done what we're going to do. We're not going to change our minds on it, or at least I'm not. And I think we're all pretty much in agreement. And listen, this was a team effort. I know, Tony and some other people. We all worked on this together. Rick had a lot of historical knowledge from when they first purchased the theater, and we're looking to actually get Chester Cinema 6 to run it. That kind of got shot down by the previous board. There's a lot of Sal's business sense, Mary with the zoning, Tony just with his business sense. We all work together on this, and that's probably the main thing is that we're doing this for the common good. There's no benefit other than to the taxpayers for us moving forward with this.
Right. Can I just add that we had met in executive session. There was one time where I know we kind of got in trouble with the residents because we were speaking with Ed Sheeran about the possibility and what direction we wanted to go to. This document, the license agreement, is approximately 18 pages long. I can tell everybody out there, I definitely read it. I had one question, I had it answered by the supervisor, and I think we should vote on it. So that's my opinion, and I want to see what the rest of the board thinks.
Okay. With that said, anything else you wanted to add, Council?
Nope. Thank you,
Okay.
Supervisor.
With that said, I will make a motion to approve. No, I can't because I'm signing.
We have to do
Yeah, so,
short.
I'll make the.
Mike, you make.
yeah, procedurally, we would like to, there's a resolution first to handle SECRA as lead agency and negative declaration, which is what Mr. McGinn will address now. You can just do the be it resolved.
Okay.
And then we'll do the resolution concerning the agreement.
All right, so the first issue is declaring lead agency and issuing a negative declaration for the license of the Town of Monroe Arts and Civic Center property. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 whereases, and I'm going to read the now therefore is resolved by the town board as follows. Section 1, all whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as those set forth in full and confirmed. The town board hereby declares lead agency status pursuant to SECRA in connection with the proposed licensing of the property licensing of the property to the Monroe Premium Cinemas LLC. Section 3, the town board as lead agency hereby determines that the proposed licensing of the property is an unlisted action under SECRA, and upon review of the short environmental assessment form, the town board hereby determines that said purchase will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Section 4, the town board hereby directs the town clerk and any other officer or employee as directed by the town supervisor to take any action necessary to carry out the provisions of this resolution. And Section 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately. The question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a roll call vote, which results as follows. So I make the motion that we accept the secret declaration.
Declaration, I will second that motion.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
All right, the next resolution has 18 whereas clauses, so I don't know if you want to read them, but this is the agreement concerning the approving the supervisor to sign the license agreement.
I'll run through them. Okay, resolution of the town board approving a license agreement for the Town of Monroe Arts and Civic Center building. Whereas the Town of Monroe is a municipal corporation in the state of New York governed by the elected town council, in parentheses, town board, exercising its powers pursuant to law, including but not limited to New York State law, town law, section 64. And whereas pursuant to town law, the town board exercises custody and control of town property. And whereas the town is the current owner of a certain real property located at 34 Milf Pond Parkway in the town of Monroe, and specifically identified as tax parcel section 212, block 7, lot 1, which was acquired by the town at a foreclosure sale in 2012 and includes a structure housing a movie theater facility. And whereas prior to the town's acquisition of the property, the movie theater site was a long-time, well-known fixture in the downtown Village of Monroe area for approximately 7 years, with an original theater constructed in 1948 and eventually demolished and replaced with the current theater in 2003. And whereas in 2015, the then town board, after acquiring the property, established a standard movie theater operation on the property, and the operation was staffed by town of Monroe town employees operating 3 of the 6 theaters within the structure. And whereas since the opening in 2015, the movie theater operation has continued to operate at a significant loss to the town of Monroe and required significant expenditures of taxpayer funds in order to continue the theater operation. And whereas since opening in 2015, the movie theater has sustained losses each consecutive year, with a collective loss in excess of approximately $1.8 million, resulting in significant negative impacts on all town finances. And whereas the town board has a fiduciary obligation to exercise its best efforts to ensure taxpayer funds are directed in a manner that benefits the town and its taxpayers, and ensure that such funds are not expended in a manner that is wasteful or detrimental to the town's financial condition. And whereas, in order to carry out its obligations and ensure the financial integrity of the town and its taxpayer funds, the town board must consistently review expenditures and the town's financial condition and take appropriate measures to ensure the town's financial integrity. And whereas the town board is carrying out such functions, previously engaged in economic revitalization consultant to attempt to market the property or movie theater operation to a private entity in order to mitigate the negative financial impacts of the town. And whereas the town's economic consultant sought to engage in discussion with approximately 17 private movie theater entities to consider investment in the property, and whereas approximately 13 such entities either did not respond or were not interested in the property, and whereas 3 of the entities determined the property was not desirable as an investment or otherwise did not suit their business model and declined to pursue acquisition or other interest in the property, whether as lease, purchase, or operation. And whereas Monroe Premium Cinemas LLC, Premium Cinemas in parentheses, an entity incorporated by Flagship Premium Cinemas established in 1995, expressed an interest in operating an upscale private movie theater operation, including power reclining seats, digital projection, digital surround sound, and a comfortable atmosphere for moviegoers, with a plan to bring all 6 theaters into operation. And whereas the property in its current condition and with current operation was not attractive to the Premium Cinemas or other entities as a long-term lease or purchase due to the need for significant improvements in order to properly market the property as a full-scale and attractive movie theater operation. And whereas after discussion and negotiation between representatives of Premium Cinemas and the town representatives, the town and Premium Cinemas mutually agreed that a license agreement between the town and Premium Cinemas was the most beneficial arrangement that considered the interest of both parties and allowed the property to continue as a movie theater operation. And Whereas such license agreement in form annexed hereto will allow the town to immediately facilitate an end to the continuing significant financial losses to the town in operating the standard movie theater operation and establishing an arrangement where the town will receive revenue from a successful premium movie theater operation, and the town will be in position to sell the property to premium cinemas. And whereas the town board, by separate resolution, declared itself lead agency for environmental review and determined that the license agreement is an unlisted action, it would not result in any significant environmental impacts.
Anybody want to hear that again? Got that?
Now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein as if set forth in full. Section 2, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute a license agreement and a form approved by the town council and substantially in form annexed hereto to effective October 1st, 2018.
Yeah, and just let me say, while you're on that date, that was the date that was communicated by council that they could take over and are ready to take over. If the town board sees it otherwise, you're not stuck with that date, but I put in October 1st because that's when they've indicated they could take over, which is a week from today.
Okay. Thank you. The town clerk and other town officials, Section 3, the town clerk and other town officials or employees as directed by the town supervisor is authorized to take any necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution, and Section 4, the resolution shall be effective immediately. So I make a motion that we accept this resolution as read.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Could you read whereas 14 again, John?
No.
No, okay.
That was not easy.
Thank you for reading that, Councilman McGinn.
That was not easy.
My pleasure.
Mary, anything?
No, I have no
Okay,
additional
so
comments.
call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. On to,
Taylor?
what?
Taylor,
Good
aye,
job.
yes.
No, I thought we did we do 10?
Oh, you,
Yeah, we did 10. No, we got to do,
digital radio.
Tom
stuff?
Pasculo, you still here? Oh, thank you. You want to come up? For those of you that don't know, Tom Pasculo is the newly hired head bus driver for Dial-A-Bus. I did not go over new business, which is the digital radio communication system. So if you want to go over that briefly and then your other request. All right.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank you for taking me on, and I'm looking forward to working with the board and with the County of Orange to get the Dial-A-Bus running as smooth as possible. I've only been there a short period of time. It's been like 3 weeks now. I've seen some changes, and that's why 2 of these requests have been made. And just so the board knows, I've also made a change with hours of one of the employees, so we don't have overtime. They're going to be working a Tuesday to Saturday shift, so there is no overtime on Saturdays. And it's work in progress right now, so I will be continuing to bring updates to you. As far as the two-way communication, one of the first things I seen was the drivers are using radios to talk direct connect. It's phones instead of a two-way system. As a 19A examiner, I can't allow a driver to have a phone in their hands. So I'm asking to please get the two-way radios for our communications, not cell phones. That we had two-way radios back in the day, and they should have never went away. I don't know why it was, but please, I don't want them to have phones in their hands.
While you're on that, so there's essentially almost a wash if we go with the two-way radios.
Correct.
And if we eliminate the phones, it came out to like, was it $120 a month?
Right.
Difference.
That's correct.
More.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other, should I move on to the?
Yeah.
To the-
Well, we'll address them separately.
Okay.
You know, if they have questions, they'll ask.
The next item was a part-time driver. Again, only being there a short period of time, I see that there's gonna be gaps where drivers will be taking vacation time or calling out sick. So a part-timer who will only work those times that the scheduled full-time drivers are out, I think would be essential to help, so I don't have to cancel rides. If a full-time driver is not there, I'm gonna have to cancel rides, and that's not something that we wanna do. We wanna promote, we want this to keep going. So we're not giving benefits, it's not a full-time position, it's just a part-time position on an as-need basis. So I would love to have that opportunity at this time.
So that person would basically be like on call?
Yes, yeah, so if I know that one of my drivers is gonna go on vacation, they plan it out, they're going on vacation in 2 weeks, I can call up and say, I'm gonna need you to cover for, that week that driver's gonna be out, and then that person, after the interviewing, and will know all of this, that's what's gonna happen.
And all the other part-time drivers pretty much have fixed schedules, or?
I have one part-time driver at this time.
Just one part-timer?
Yes. The
And
rest-
and how many full-time?
7.
7 full-time and 1 part-time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, I know we had spoke, but can you relay to the board what was going on with the GPS and tracking that was in the buses?
Two of the systems that were in the buses were actually non-operable. They were broken, and they can't be repaired at this time. So we had to order new ones, because we need them. It's not only the GPS, but it's the camera system, which if someone should happen to get into an accident, the camera system is going to help them out. It's going to show what actually happened, and it would be benefit of the town to have these in the buses. But 2 of them were broken, and they weren't repaired, and now they're out of warranty. So had to replace with 2 brand new ones, and they're on their way in now. They should be here within 2 weeks.
And am I correct in stating, I think Helen explained this to me, that there was an invoice that we were paying for something that was not being used?
It's not being used, that's correct.
That was the GPS?
The GPS system,
Okay.
yeah, the GPS and the cameras are 2 separate systems.
Okay.
But it's work in progress right now. I'm looking forward to, building up and getting it going and fixing. There's 4 buses that we're gonna be getting surplus. 2 that have been sitting there for many, many years. And then 2 other ones, buses number 26 and 27, we're gonna get money back once we sell them. And that should be happening by the end of the year. So I'm moving forward.
Those 2 systems, were they, the GPS and the cameras, were they intentionally disabled or just broken? Or
I'm sorry.
Can't determine?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding the radio system.
Yes.
On a cell phone, I know you pick it up and you hold it and you talk. How does the radio system work? Do you have to
It's a the one that we're gonna get, the 2-way
Yes.
radio, it's a microphone. So
built in?
You'll have a mic to talk to. There'll be
So
a
you still
radio-
have to hold the mic?
Correct.
Or is it like, it's like in the?
Yeah, it'll be in a cradle.
Right.
Right.
You'll lift it up, you'll talk on it, put it back on the cradle.
Right, so you don't have to dial anything, you
No.
you just communicate directly?
Yes.
And the advantage to that is, having gone on the highway runs with when there was snow plowing, is that if he calls and needs assistance at a location, and he doesn't have to call 7 guys if the first 6 say, everybody's gonna hear that on the radio.
Everyone's
Everybody hears
gonna
it.
be hearing what
Okay.
transmissions are going on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Don.
So we need a motion to...
Okay, so we need a motion. If I remember correctly, I think the number for the cost of the phones was approximately $230 per month. So this is a lease program with Nycomco, and it's $387. So let's say it's $157, $160 more per month.
Do we get reimbursed for any of that by the county as part of the program?
Yeah, a lot, yeah. A good portion of the expenses were reimbursed on. I will get a finite number on that for you, Mike, so whatever the difference is, I'll get a finite number of what the difference is and how much we'll get reimbursed on the difference.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we would need a motion to approve 9 Comco's all-inclusive 5-year lease program for digital radios, Connect Plus operation system.
$387?
At $387 a month.
Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Questions? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved.
The part-time driver?
Yep, part-time driver. Is Dom still here?
Yeah.
Dom, do you know what's the starting rate? Is it 18?
16 something.
It's just shy of 17.
16 something.
As per the contract now.
Okay. Okay.
So this is basically a fill-in guy if someone's not around.
Yeah, it's not gonna be, he's not gonna be guaranteed hours. It's gonna be somebody that's gonna, for the most part, be on call.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of a part-time driver at the rate presently in the contract for that part-time driver, which is upwards of...
Not to exceed $17.
Mr. Nugent, can you bring up the, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but can you bring up do you have the contract? The dial-a-bus Teamster Union contract?
I should be able to pull it up, yeah. Not while you all wait, though. You might want to move on to something.
All right.
Take a minute.
So, the rate will not exceed 17. I'll make that motion, and can we insert the rate after council finds it? Okay, so that's the motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. All right. Mr. Sheriff, did you have anything else? You'll leave. Thank you very much. Appreciate your effort and your help. Thank you. Okay, Town of Monroe Community Day Food Truck Festival. Councilman, again, you want to talk about that? Because we just need a motion to set the date. Councilman Scancarello. Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
He looked at me.
So do you want me to discuss where we're at with it?
Yeah, you want to discuss where we're at?
All right, so me and Supervisor Cardone and Anne Marie Morris walked the property on Saturday. So far, we have 12 artists. We're looking for some more, 16 food trucks. We have some exciting things that are going to happen there as well. We have a stage, live music all day. It's going to be a perfect time of the year, so hopefully the weather's cooperates and we should have a great day.
We have some face painters, some pumpkins.
Face painters, pumpkins, yeah, some things for the kids. Macaroni the Clown is going to make an appearance, which will be fun.
All right.
So might be Rick Cologne. I think it'll be macaroni.
All right, so we need a motion for the Town of Monroe Community Day Food Truck Festival to take place on Saturday, October 20th from 11 a.m.?
11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
At the Town of Monroe owned land on Orange and Rockland Road.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay. We do need one other motion to approve Dial-A-Bus providing one driver from approximately 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I spoke to Dom and he says it can be done without overtime.
Excellent.
Oh, that would be for a shuttle?
Yeah, shuttle. What I'm waiting on is I'm waiting to hear back from Coach that owns the park and ride to give people the opportunity to park there and get transported back and forth. In addition, we're going to have a premium parking section, which we will be charging for. We haven't come up with the rate yet. It's going to be between $5 and $10. People want it, that's their option.
And we are going to have beer and wine. That's a huge addition from our last one.
So, we need a motion for approval of Dial-A-Bus one driver from dial bus from 12,
11.
let's say from 11 to 6 p.m. We'll work on the hours if it's tweaked a little here and there.
All right, I'll make that motion.
And I will second.
Any other discussion? Call a question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. I'm going to jump back because I had left something off the agenda, which was the audit of claims. So the resolution and the claims were approved by a minimum of 3 town councilmen or board members. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe request approval of the claims to be paid on the following abstract. Abstract number 18-002, general fund containing check numbers 22867 through 23010, and wire number 262 totaling $716,215.83. Abstract number 18-002, escrow containing check numbers 1830 through 1832, totaling $4,925. And abstract number 18-002, theater, containing checks 1241 through 1244, and wire number 261, totaling $8,270.19. So I'll make the motion that we approve those audit of claims, which are all attached in your packet.
I will second.
Second by Mary. All those in favor?
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, John couldn't be here today. He had a doctor's appointment, so
Hold it over to next Monday, or?
hold over next Monday. But what happened with the garage, the oil and water separator, the bid that came out was a bid that included electric for it, and it was a gravity-fed system, which didn't need electric. So John wanted to discuss it with the board, so we can hold that over until.
I'll make a motion table to the next, till the next meeting.
Okay.
October, is it first?
First. All right, I'll second that. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Item 6.4, the SAM grant. So this is the grant that we received from Senator Larkin's office for $250,000. We need to satisfy the State and Municipal Facilities Program grant application, and Town of Monroe needs to pass a resolution approving a line item from the 2019 adopted budget, which will address additional funding needed. The state has awarded the Town of Monroe $250,000 for this project. $2.975 million in additional funding will be necessary to complete the project and will be funded through bonding. Mr. Nugent, just to clarify here, do we need, it says we need a resolution approving a line item. Do we have to have a specific line item or items there? Numbers?
I would think so, if that's what the resolution's for.
Okay.
I mean, if you know them by description,
Yeah,
you
there
know.
was 2 fund balance items. One was 1.9 million, and the other was, I think, 1.3 million.
Yeah, I mean, I think either the line number or if you can state the name of the fund that it's in, if there's a name in there.
Okay. Well, while I'm looking at this, how about we segue onto,
Well, has Mr. Nugent found the dial-a-bus?
Not yet.
Oh.
okay.
I had
we
to do
could
all
go
that, send
backwards.
myself a text message and all that business just to get in, so.
Mary Ellen, you want to talk about 6.5, the electronic recycling day?
Okay, this, I have asked the board, presented to the board for approval this evening for Friday, November 2nd and Saturday, November 3rd for the electronic recycling day. The hours would be, I believe it's 10 to 2 on Friday and also 10 to 2 on Saturday. I'm not 100% sure on the hours. The cost per day is $1,700. Previously, in previous years, up till this past April, they went by the tonnage, and it was costing us a lot more money. So Advanced Recovery Recycling came out with a program of $1,700 per day, and that included the labor, because they send down 3 people each day. So it comes down to the $3,400 instead of over $5,000. So I am asking the town board to approve it for this year. Next year, I would like to cut it down to once a year. We are required by the state law that we have hold this one at least once a year. And now the county is opened up their recycling again. So I don't think we need to hold it twice a year. So I will be looking to do it next year in the spring on Earth Day, what I call Earth Day.
Okay, thank you.
Is it May 1st?
No, it's always in April.
Thank you.
It's in April, so,
There's not one November?
this one's for November.
Oh, okay.
But
But
next year.
next year, we're gonna hold it in April, the once a year, if that's good with the board. Just so the board also knows, in the past, I have applied for the grant. DEC does have the grant, and the town has gotten the grant money.
And that covers 50%, you said?
It covered 50% of it, so I will be applying again for this year's events, and hopefully we'll receive the grant. I don't see why we wouldn't. So if the board would approve it, we'll hold it in November.
Okay, so I guess I'll make a motion that we approve $1,700 for electronic recycling days event for November 2nd and November 3rd.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
Mary Ellen, is there like a bulk shredding type of,
Okay,
is that separate or?
in the past, I did do shredding with this, but, and it's Clean Sweep, that's it. I'm thinking Earth Day when I was in school. It's Clean Sweep now. Clean Sweep had had shredding also, so the supervisor and me had discussed backing off and letting them have it. When we do the recycling, the electronic recycling, we do get a big draw for it.
Okay.
And it cost us about $600 for the day for the shredding. I mean, it's something.
Yeah, in addition to this.
In addition to this, it's something that we can discuss in, for next year. Also on the recycling day in April, we do the tire day. And our garbage company donates the dumpster to us, so. And I try to do it with the theme of the Clean Sweep on that day.
Right.
And our parking lot does work out very nicely because the highway helps out and does a nice drive-through.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Sorry, Mary.
It's okay.
So let's call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion just to table the telecom proposals till next Monday.
I'll second it.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, I.
Okay. 6.7, out-of-district water user agreement. Mary.
Okay, I know you had asked for some information as to how some of the blanks would be filled in on the outside of district water user agreement. I had sent you an email earlier today. It included the schedule of fees, which the town board approved back in 2012, and on that schedule of fees, it includes what the tapping fees are. So when an applicant would come to us, he would say he would have a 3/4 inch tap, and I believe the fee was like $375, and that number would get plugged into the agreement. And then when you're determining the number of gallons that this outside user would be able to obtain from the town, you take the number of bedrooms, which is listed in Appendix 75A, Table 1, again, of the email I sent you. And basically, it's based on sewer discharge. So you can't discharge more water than what you took in as a water user. So again, it's based on the age of the home. I live in an older home, so I would be entitled to 150 gallons per bedroom. A newer home, because I have all these water saving features, is only entitled to 110 gallons per bedroom. So when you go to fill in that number on the agreement, you just will ask the applicant, how many bedrooms do you have? He'll say, I'm building a house with 4 bedrooms, and I'm looking to get this residence into the, to be able to use water from the district, but I'm not in the district. So you would plug that number in. Now, in the agreement itself, there's a $1,000 fee. It wouldn't be fair for a water district to be formed, and then 2 days later, somebody says, oh, well, that work's all done. You spent money paying for engineers and attorneys and a secret review and all this stuff, so I'm going to just pop in now and just get this. So we kind of had discussed earlier, one of the board meetings in executive session, attorney-client, that $1,000, it's a rough estimate. No 2 districts are going to be the same. Some are more involved than others. But we figured $1,000. So those would be the calculations for these outside district water agreements. So I know we have one coming up. So you have any other questions? Do we need you to authorize to sign it, or you want to wait?
Well, I think once Mr. Nugent plugs in the specific numbers, then we would need to be authorized to sign it, unless you want to authorize it now upon his approval. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, if we were agreeable to the terms that are being discussed to insert, then we can approve it in a form approved by our office.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion is for the supervisor to sign the
Are we talking a specific person on this agreement? I know we're doing the agreement in general.
Yeah,
okay. So if it's for them, then it would be to authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement in a form approved by town council. If you want to restate that.
That's the motion. So, what do you say? So said, or so
moved?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, so that's the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, and that goes for any contract in the future as well?
Well, I think we should do a separate resolution under the circumstances, just approving the agreement in substance for future arrangements. In other words, that this is specific, it sounded like, to Saga.
Yes.
But then I don't know that you've actually approved.
Yes, we did. We did approve the outside.
But are we not changing it now by putting in this information that we're talking about?
No,
or is
there were blanks, and it was like a boilerplate.
Okay. So it's up to the board. I mean, if you want to just affirm that
I think it's a good idea that we do
Yeah.
each individual one, because at some point in the future, if somebody comes up, at least we'll have it noted in the minutes.
Yeah, all right, so if you're going to use that approach, then it doesn't matter. Then each agreement will come before the board, and you'll authorize it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Okay.
Mary, I just want to thank you. You were
Yes.
diligent with this. You
Yes.
stayed on course. You kept Mr. Nugent up at midnight with your email. we really
I
appreciate
did have a
it.
few in the morning.
But thank you very much.
Early morning.
All right.
So,
While we're on water.
Wait, we got to give you the, we made the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Who second? Mary Ellen?
Seconds? Anyone second that?
Second?
I'll second that.
On Saga.
It was you and Sal.
Yeah.
Me and Sal. So now we need,
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin, aye. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. While we're on water, I need authorization to pay $81.83 penalties to the Village of Monroe, which is a one-time courtesy given to the accounts. We had requested relief because we had some computer issues and weren't able to print checks for about 3 weeks. So I'm asking, I'll make a motion that we approve paying the penalties of $81.83. And that is not out of any water district account.
Okay.
Specific.
It's for town
It's
buildings.
for town buildings.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so, okay, getting back to the part-time bus driver, that amount is $16.85 per hour. So the motion was to approve the hiring of a part-time bus driver for Dial Bus at $16.85 per hour.
And I will second.
Second, any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. I don't believe there, well, there's one other thing. Mr. McGinn, with respect to noticing for overriding the tax cap in case we have to do that?
Did you say Mr. McGinn or Mr.
No,
Nugent?
Mr. Nugent. I'm looking at Mr. Nugent.
Did say Mr. McGinn.
You
Yeah,
did
I
say
did
Mr.
say
Nugent, right?
McGinn. Just making sure you're paying attention.
Calling me McGinn?
Yeah.
I'm insulted.
So we have to pass a resolution to notice the possible overriding of the tax cap?
Yeah, so when you're overriding the tax cap, it's technically passage of a local law, so you would set a public hearing, and then at the public hearing, we would allow residents to comment and then adopt the local law if that's what the board chooses.
Okay.
Would
So
the
we'd
date
set a
for
public
that,
hearing for whatever date you would like.
would that be after the budget hearing or?
No, the local law
Or-
has to be, you can have the public hearing whenever, but the local law must be adopted, and it can be adopted even the same day as the budget, but it has to be adopted immediately before the budget. So you have up until your deadline budget, roughly November 20th, but you can set the public hearing now, for example, in October, close the public hearing, and then you could hold off on adopting the law until it comes time to adopt the
Yes.
budget.
All right, so
Yes.
I,
No, in the end. Yes.
We can do that in peace.
So when do we do that?
The clerk suggested you could do the public hearing the same night as the public hearing on the budget, if you want to do it that way.
yeah,
I was over 3, right?
Doesn't matter what order those public hearings are, it's just the adoption of the budget has to follow the adoption of the local law if you exceed the cap, that's all.
Okay.
So you can do them both on the same night.
I
Usually
don't
there's,
believe Mary Ellen, have we set a hearing date yet, or a public hearing date yet?
We have set a public hearing
Yeah,
date.
I got
It's
it.
so we
Yeah,
set,
yeah,
when we
more
set the
specific
town
address.
board meetings, it can change.
All right.
It is for
right.
Thursday, November
All right,
8th.
thank you.
But if the board desires to change that, absolutely.
Okay.
I would appreciate to find out very quickly because I have to print postcards.
correct?
Yes, that is the last
It has to
date.
open by November 8th, or sooner.
So you can move it up sooner, but just let me know because I do need time to have the postcards printed and sent out.
So how about I'll make a motion that we do it on 10/22, prior to our, or, you know.
No,
at
we could do it at our meeting, because we have the budget meeting that night, and then we do our
Right.
regular meeting, so.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Do it 10/22 this way. It gives
7:15.
Mary Ellen time to get the cards out and.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna change the public, okay.
Wait, so you're doing, is that, we
So we're
talking about
gonna
the
do-
budget hearing, or are we talking about both?
We're talking about doing
Both.
the public hearing for the tax cap.
Tax cap.
Right, but you're leaving the public hearing on the budget in November?
Yes.
Okay, so
So we're-
10/22 will be the public hearing on the tax cap override local law,
Make that clear, sorry about that.
and then we'll leave the budget public hearing where it is in November.
You got it. 10/22.
And I believe we already provided you a copy of the law. Typically, there isn't a whole lot of comment. I mean, you can most likely wrap up the public hearing that night and determine, again, you don't have to if you want to wait and see where the budget is or what it looks like. You can always adopt that tax cap local law later on if you need to.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
All right?
So what time would you like to set the public hearing for on the 22nd?
We just do it 7:30. It's going to be short.
Yeah, the budget meeting's at 6 PM.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So immediately following the budget meeting,
Well,
We
you
need a
put
time.
Yeah, we got to put a time
7
on it.
o'clock?
7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
We're as soon as possibly there right after.
Mhm.
Is that good language or?
That's what it says.
We'll make sure
Sold.
that's in there. Okay,
Right,
so
that's what you said.
somebody needs
Yeah.
to make the motion and all that for me.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right.
Would you like to call the question, Mr. Supervisor?
Yeah. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right.
And Mary Ellen, you said we already had a motion for the budget hearing on the 8th, that public
Yes,
hearing?
when you approved the town board meetings at the beginning of the year, that was in there. So
Okay.
your
Where's that?
public hearing for the budget is November 8th at 7 PM. And that's a Thursday.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank
Thank you.
Hey,
I gotta go back to that SAM grant. So.
You have the lines?
Yeah, the line, there's 2 lines that are unappropriated fund balances, townwide in the A account, and one is in the part-town, in the general fund B account.
Is there a specific line number?
One is 917, I don't have the other account number, so we have to get this done tonight.
All right, I just don't know how to word.
Can we do that, Brian, subject to me
We don't
getting
have-
the
We don't have the name or
line
number?
numbers?
Do we have any description of it besides?
Yeah, there's the A and the B fund unappropriated fund balances. The A fund number is 917 account. I don't know what the B fund number is.
Okay, but how about an amount? Do you know what the amount? or no?
They total like $3.3 million. One was like 1.9 and the other was like 1.4.
And are there only one or two, those accounts are the only ones that would fit the description of the
I
B
believe
fund
so, yeah.
appropriated fund balance? So then I would refer to it as B fund appropriated fund balance,
Unappropriated.
unappropriated.
Yeah. Okay. So unappropriated B and unappropriated A fund balances.
I would just say subject to confirmation by the supervisor.
Okay, that's fine. Subject to confirmation by the supervisor. Anybody, do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarella, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Public comment.
Hey, before you go to public comment, I just, there was I'm just bringing this up on my phone. There was an email today from John Ebert regarding the Walton Lake cleanup. It's on October 6th at Walton Lake, at the Lake Shore, Lakes Road and Clonmere Hill Road. So I'd like to make a motion that we get this on the website and on Channel 22.
It's already done.
Yeah.
Did I
And
have to make the motion?
and a newsletter has been sent out to
All
the
right,
residents.
All right, I just saw this today, and I want to make sure
Yeah,
we got the word out every possible way.
We have a dumpster ordered already too. I spoke to John today.
Okay.
Thank-
All right,
thanks
very
for-
good.
Thanks for stepping on my toes again. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I thought you were busy on your phone, so you weren't paying attention, so.
No, I was getting the inappropriate fund balance. Okay. Nothing else? Public comment?
Tom LaPola?
What are those dates for the electronic?
November 2nd and 3rd.
I don't want that to count. That should be brief anyway. Mike, again, congrats and good job on the work with the theater. I've never.
It was everyone.
No, everybody. Okay, but you let it. I've never been in favor of a public municipality running what should be run by private enterprises. I just wanted to ensure all the ducks were in a row. You guys obviously did that, all right? But as the initial purchase was done without public input, I just wanted to ensure that public was fully aware of the direction for this new theater. Other than that, it did sound like a positive development.
Thank you.
All right, in regards to, you might not thank me. All right, at the last board meeting, this board recognized and honored the leader of a political organization for no other reason than she was the chairperson of that political organization, the political party which basically endorsed the majority of this board, which is fine. Using this forum to honor a political figure may or may not have been appropriate, but I won't, there's no need to debate this issue, as I recognize the political fray usually finds its way into the governing process. It's normal, since they are both intricately connected. As last week's event was obviously politically charged, in the essence of fairness, then, I would like to respectfully recommend to this board that when others do appear before this board with questions, concerns, or statements regarding the governance of this town, which may subjectively appear to have political overtones, that this board give wide latitude to those citizens and respectfully allow them the opportunity to publicly voice those concerns before not only this board, but their fellow citizens as well. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
Mike Goldstein?
Thank you. Good evening. Mike Goldstein. I am a resident of the town, a private citizen, and not a member of any political party. Mr. Cardone and Mr. McGinn, on a number of occasions, halted or even stopped my public comments during the public comment portion of the meeting. The most egregious time was at the July 30th meeting. I was talking about a scoping document when the supervisor chimed in to stop my comments. He declared that I was making a political speech. I was not allowed to continue. According to town rules, the only political speech that is not allowed is if I were running for an office and I was endorsing myself, or I was endorsing someone else for a position for office. My comments before I was stopped were not profane, were not vulgar, were not abusive or disparaging, nor were any ethnic, racial slurs ordered by me. In other words, I did nothing to violate the town's speaking rules. And in my opinion, I should have been allowed to speak my mind. Additionally, the town rules state that no one on the town council or the supervisor are to speak until all of the public comments are heard. I believe I am entitled to an apology from the supervisor. On August 13th meeting, Mr. McGinn had a back and forth conversation with members of the audience throughout the meeting. During the public comment, I asked a question. When I was finished, Mary Bingham asked if she could answer my question, and she was quickly rebuffed by Mr. McGinn. If you're going to bend the rules, bend them for everyone. When the Roman Republic was in decline and the Roman Empire began, the senators running government started a policy of bread and circuses to try and control the temper of the quickly dissatisfied populace. Our town board is now following a similar policy. If you think handing out plaques and feeding the populace food trucks is going to prevent the local residents from rising up when the tax effect from the formation of a new town is felt, you are sorely mistaken. As a student of history, I find it interesting that people historically recognize the pitfalls of government. The Englishman William Pitt in 1770 said, "Unlimited power is apt to corrupt those minds of those who possess it. Where law ends, there tyranny begins." Justice Tomm of the U.S. Supreme Court said, and I quote, "This nation was dedicated to freedom under law, not under mobs." If you cannot listen to me for 3 minutes...
Mr. Goldstein, that's time.
Dan Burke?
My preference that you hold it off a week or 2 weeks or whatever, It's not my preference. There's an open meetings law. And if you're documents to be discussed, they should be out to the public ahead of time. So maybe the failure is not, you did it tonight. There's an October 1st date I heard. Maybe you're under a deadline. But those documents and Mr. Sharon's report should have been on the website ahead of time. It was possible for you to do it. I think you should try to get this stuff out ahead of time so that citizens can take a look at it. And here we are, we're arguing over money, dollars, 1 million, 1.8, and this is all like in the air. There's a budget. These numbers are written down. You could do a financial report and give it to the public, and the public would see exactly the point you're trying to make. If you talk about 1.8 million, the town's not spending 1.8 million anymore. That money was invested into the theater. The theater's carried on the town's books at 6.5 million. So we didn't lose 1.8 million. We gained over 4 million. And of course that won't become, it's an asset. It's an asset. This is basic accounting. That's an asset. It's the same as cash. And when you sell the building, you can turn it back into cash. And all expenses you mentioned, they're all right in the budget. So the town did make $45,000 for the first 8 months, and they'll make $60,000 for the year. So you actually might be reducing your revenue by bringing the new company on. And I really can't comment on it because I really don't know exactly what you do with it. How much are they paying? How much are we got to pay? It's we're in the dark. We have to trust you to make the judgments on this, but we're in the dark. We really don't know what this is. All right, thank you.
Lorraine Loning? Lorraine left. Okay, Ward Brower?
Ward Brower, private citizen. Excuse me, choked up here. Citizen. First of all, why do we still have this sign-up time limit? When there's hardly anybody comes here to speak anyway. Why shouldn't it be, as long as you show up, 9:30, board meeting's going on, it's time to speak. Next question. For Mary, on that water district thing. Bedrooms. Bedrooms don't generate or consume water or generate sewage. It's people in them. How did they determine the number of people in them? That's what I want to know. How did you get that number? I don't see that number. These bedrooms they don't do it. They're an inanimate object. Budget. How many minutes before? Coming to budget meetings for, I'm going to admit to. But the public was permitted to be involved. What I'm seeing right now is the majority of the work has been done between the budget control officer and the department head without any public input, not input, but observation. That's in the dark budgeting. And we get condensed version of it. We don't have the give and take that we were able to follow over the years. And by the way, in the last couple of years, they were televised. Called open government. And it seems to be disappearing here. And just as a arbitrary, pragmatic thing, I like to talk to people. 4 out of 5 people that I've talked to don't realize that this board, this present board, has been in power for almost 3 years. They're still blaming the guy who just died on what's going wrong. No, this board, the buck stops here. The bad deal with Palm Tree, and it was a bad deal, and we will feel it in the taxes to come, was primarily the fault of this board, which took an inactive role. Yes, I'm going to hear it. We held 2 meetings at the theater. Yeah, you held 2 meetings at the theater, where maybe 10% of the questions were even mentioned or addressed slightly. 2 meetings. It would take 10 times that amount on a complicated process of determining a new town and all the ramifications. And I see annexation on and off the agenda. That's a problem. These are all future tax laws. Then I see we got a fire district with a deficit coming up, That's got to be factored in. We're buying a town hall with all that ramification. While Monroe gets through annexations, de facto becomes smaller and smaller, and their tax base shrinks to non-existent, just homeowners. Tragic. Thank you.
Supervisor, that's all the speakers.
That's it. Anyone care to comment?
Can I start?
Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, water. One of the things you will like about the outside water district agreement, and you're welcome to take my copy. Excuse me, everybody's got that tickle in the throat tonight. There is a penalty. If you exceed, example, a 4-bedroom house built currently is 110 gallons per bedroom, so 440 gallons per day. If you exceed that amount at the end of the billing quarter, we keep track of that, and then at the end of the year, there's a penalty built into the agreement. It's a way to start, I agree. The wastewater came from, my phone just changed again, but it came from the bedroom amount came from Public Health Law 201-1-1. So it's laid out in there, and there have been people in the engineering field who must have done some studies. I can probably try to get a little bit more research on for you know, how that was determined. But we definitely have considered it. We are trying to make sure that somebody doesn't, use 10,000 gallons and, that he's paying a minimal rate. We want to make sure that people are aware water is a limited resource. And right now, we say, oh, we had a very wet summer. There are going to be years, global change, whether you believe it or not. We've had droughts in the past. Was it 2 years ago we had the very bad drought? 3 years ago?
Went on for 5.5 years.
Well, went on, yeah, but there was a bad one very recently.
No, it finished last year, but it was for 5.5 years.
Right.
We had many droughts.
Right. So we want people to be aware, and as I said, you're welcome to have my copy of the water agreement. We are trying to address it. It's a slow process. We'll see how this works. There's no enforcement right now for a person who is in the district and exceeds water usage. It's going to be education, whether the Conservation Commission or some other group can tackle that. I don't know, but we'll see if we can address it in the future.
Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Anybody else? Nothing? No. Just make one comment to the general public, in case, just so nobody, if you didn't hear what I said last meeting, if you forgot it or you just couldn't remember, the public will have input in the budget process on October 3rd and October 22nd. And I'll leave it at that. Just because the budget is submitted initially, that's not what the end result will be. So instead of wasting our time commenting about something which is totally untrue, please understand there's 2 meetings. I'll say it again, October 3rd and October 22nd at 6 p.m. If you want to make some comments, have some input, do it then. Thank you.
Supervisor, I just addressed I don't think, did the board address the public hearing and the reason for cancellation yet? For the annexation?
I didn't formally address it,
Okay.
I did announce it, but if you want to formally
Yeah, if
address
I may, I just want to put it on the record that tonight there had been scheduled a public hearing on both an annexation for certain parcels in the Harriman Business Park to be annexed into the Village of Woodbury. Today, September 24th, we received a letter from George Lithgow, Jacobowitz and Gubitz counsel for the petitioners who had previously filed that petition, and he indicated that his client advised today that it wishes to withdraw the attached petition to annex certain properties in the town of Monroe into the Village of Woodbury, and as the petition is withdrawn, the hearing scheduled for tonight should be canceled. There was a second letter, same date today, September 24th, from Mr. Lithgow concerning basically similar petition for the same properties, secondarily to be annexed into the Village of Harriman, and this letter indicates that the clients wish to withdraw the attached petition to annex those properties into the Village of Harriman. And I did send letters on both of these matters back to Mr. Lithgow confirming the withdrawal and that the town board would take no further action. So that was the reason for the cancellation of those public hearings.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Nugent.
Can I ask the board's permission to send the public hearing notice bill to Mr. Lithgow and ask him if he would pay it?
I think there should be some other,
Absolutely.
there should be some attorney
I'll make
fees
that
as well.
Yeah, did we get charged for the stenographer?
No,
Oh, that was kind of her.
that was very kind of Orange Rock.
And Mr. Nugent, are we allowed to pass through some of the costs associated with your work to them?
As I said, we can always ask.
Okay.
All right.
Doesn't hurt
So
That's a
you could
discussion
provide
we'll have,
a separate bill,
Yeah, we can
Outline
probably
that.
separate, I mean, we,
separate it out,
yeah,
right?
we can provide you something if you want.
Okay.
I
And just so you know, there's really no billing on the Harriman application, it's only on the Woodbury. That was the one expected to move forward for tonight's hearing.
Okay.
I just have one comment in regards to some of the statements that were made here by the speakers. While I, respect Mr. Lopola's opinion, us honoring Ms. Converse at the last meeting was not honoring a political party leader. It was just someone that had given a lot to the community. We were recognizing her for her service, whether you agree with her politically or not, or agree what she did was good or bad or indifferent. There was no doubt what she did was she gave a lot of herself, and I thought it was important to recognize her. Mr. Goldstein kind of was all over with his thing. I can't even remember some of these dates, but I think it really came down to not following what the meeting rules, which indicate that it's supposed to be on agenda items, and I think it was off on some tangent, and that is why the supervisor stopped him, and he certainly does have the authority to do so if someone's not following the meeting rules, like commenting on agenda items. So that was well within the supervisor's right to do so. Mr. Burke, the numbers are what they are. We didn't make them up. As Mr. Cardone said, they can pull them right out of the financial records database that the town has. That $6.5 million Gatsby building cost or value is grossly overestimated. That is not what that building would go for, not now, not any day of the week. And we know that from looking at it and putting a valuation on it in the last 2 years. So that might sound good, and maybe, I don't know who thought it was good to put that on the appraiser's rolls for that amount, but that is not good, because all it did was hurt potential buyers and scare them away. So,
You have a hard number?
so do I have a hard number?
No,
It's not 6.5. It's a lot lower than that. More in the 2, somewhere
Right
in
now.
that range.
Right now. But that's not,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. Anyway, those, again, the numbers are what they are. And listen, I know some of you, there's nothing that we do that you're going to approve of, and I can't change that. But as far as the populace rising up, listen, giving out plaques to people and recognizing them, that's important. That's what communities do. All right, recognizing people that have came out. I'm talking, you talked, I didn't interrupt you, so please do not interrupt me. Recognizing scouts, firemen, people that gave to this community is an important thing. You may not feel it's important, but I can guarantee you the vast amount of people out there that come up to me on the street think it's very important, and they very much approve of what we're doing up here as a board. It's your right as a citizen of this country and of this town to disagree with what we do, but it's not your right to make up make up things as you go along. People like what's going on with this board. They like that people are happy to be here, that we recognize them when they do good work here in the community. So you may not feel that that's important, but I can assure you it is very important.
You forgot educational reasons too, which we did.
Yeah.
Make 2 different recognitions.
Yeah, so it's again, listen, if people don't agree with what we do, that's fine. But again, I don't think you're going to agree with anything we do, so it really doesn't matter, and your opinion doesn't matter, so.
But you'll say
Yeah, you're welcome to say it, Mr. Goldstein, but I'm just saying, for the record, your opinion's not worthwhile or not valid to any of us up here.
that's your opinion.
Well, I think if we took a vote, it would be, and I'm not here to go into back and
All
forth
right,
with you.
let's, one other thing on the agenda, in the back of your audit of claims, there's a photo. With the sign that Little League has requested, be hung with the other ones that are there at Malvasia Field. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve them hanging it. Our maintenance staff will hang it, and we'll pick out, I'll have Emery Morris pick out a location that's suitable for it.
This is at Malvasia Park?
Yeah, there's about 8 or 10 of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them up there.
Yeah. So
It's great.
I'll make a motion that we approve the hanging of the 10 to 12-year-old District 19 champions for 2017 in Little League.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Again,
Okay, so move. Anything else? Anybody have any need for executive session?
Yeah, attorney-client.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So I'll make a motion to go into executive discussion to
Attorney-client.
discuss personnel, salary matters.
I'll second
If you don't have any other business, you can adjourn, because if it's only attorney-client, we don't need executive session, so you can adjourn the meeting and have an attorney-client at any time,
Okay.
unless you have other business.
Well,
What happens if we
we might
decide
have
something?
to decide something.
Okay, in that case, then I would say we'll leave it open.
Okay. All right. Call the question? Going into executive session? Who seconded it?
Who seconded that?
I did.
Okay.
Mike.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Begin,